Welcome to Dory Cote on Shamanism, a weekly podcast that explores one theme in shamanism throughout each month. Get comfortable, have a seat, and let's get started.
Welcome to episode 73 of these podcasts. This month, we're focusing on the earth is our mother. And this week, specifically, we're going to talk about who is your mother?
Dory, many people around the world talk about how the earth is our mother, and songs have been written about this. Is the source of this saying ancestral, or is it a more recent belief and a saying that springs from the ecology movement?
From my perspective, both things are true. It is ancestral. Certainly our indigenous ancestors throughout the world were very much aware of the power of the earth and showed a great deal of reverence and respect and performed ceremonies on a regular basis honoring the earth mother, the planet, the soil, the beings that live here on the earth among us. And, for instance, in Peru, the Pachamama is their language for, the love of mother, the power of mother. And Peruvian people, whether they're indigenous or not, show great reverence to Pachamama on a regular basis and do ceremonies for everything, with Pachamama being in the center of it all. And so ancestral, absolutely, yes, strong link to ancestral understanding of the power of the earth and her being our ultimate nurturer, the mother of us all beings, not just humans, but all beings. And then, certainly there's been an elongated period of time when we as more modern day humans lost touch with understanding the relationship that we are in every moment of every day with this earth that we inhabit. And what I see and believe for myself is that, the early 60s and the movement, the ecology movement and the hippie revolution, the anti-war demonstrations, the days of people living on the land, smoking pot and really like coming together as communities to honor this earth that we inhabit, kind of revitalize that understanding of Mother Earth and how important it is for us to care for her well-being, just like we care for ourselves as individuals. So a lot of breath got blown into the resurgence of understanding of, the earth really is our mother. And yet, that movement had a great surge for a few decades. And then, somewhere here in the early 2000s, I think we lost our way again. And we give a lot of lip service to the earth is our mother, but really, there's only a small segment of the population overall, not just here in the United States, but all over the world, who really pay attention to the fact that we must care for this planet, that we must nurture her in the same way that she nurtures us, or we are on a path of destruction. So I believe that the ecology movement, so to speak, needs to take root again, and in a much bigger way, globally, such as, there is some things happening with the global warming initiatives that are happening around the world, and countries really stepping up to the plate and saying, oh, wow, we really do need to do something about this. But, down to the personal, day-to-day, individual level, that's where it really needs to happen, going back to the roots of of our ancestors and paying homage daily to this beautiful planet that we live on.
How can the matter which makes up the earth, our planet, actually be our mother?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, if you look at the earth as a big rock that, that we're all sitting on, then it becomes really challenging to envision this rock hurling through space as being your mother. But if you look more deeply into the source of the power of this planet, and the fact that she really does have a pulse, and there's a rhythm that emits from the core of the earth that we are all sitting on. The earth literally breathes just like we breathe. The vitality of the sacred power that inhabits this living being is nurturing us. That's where the source of the Pachamama, or the understanding of the ancestral peoples, comes around understanding that this is our mother. She is nurturing us every day. And she is not a lifeless big chunk of concrete whirling through space. She really is alive. And if we understand that the planet is alive and nurturing us, then it's not too far of a leap to say, oh, she really is our mother. She's the universal mother.
I live near a lot of deer, and it's easier watching them to connect with the earth as my mother, because she provides for all the animals on this farm that are not civilized.
Yes. Yes, that's, and I'm talking about humans here, but of course, this Mother Earth is nurturing all her beings, down to the tiniest microbe to the largest mammals. And she provides on an ongoing basis and seemingly indefinitely, although the question of indefinitely is definitely, the question of indefinitely is definitely in our faces. Because we're quickly using up the resources of this mother. We've drunk the milk from her breast for so long and ignored feeding her, taking care of her, to the point where, her resources are at risk of being dried up.
How do you explain the concept of the earth as our mother to people who do not believe in protecting and loving the earth?
It's really hard to I think, explain in language to people who truly don't get it. And yet, it is so vital that every individual human on this planet at this time really get it in their core, in their soul. And so, my perspective is that tackling it from a thinking, from the mind place, and throwing a lot of science at people isn't necessarily the approach that is going to ultimately turn the hearts and souls of people around. So my suggestion and my approach personally is to help people, individuals, stop for a moment, just a moment. So if each one of us does this with just one other human and says, oh, stop right here, right now. Look at this beauty that surrounds us. Look at the way the leaves on this tree are glistening in the light. Listen to the crickets singing. Feel the pulse of all of life that surrounds you. And, do that. Introduce people from a heart place, from that place of awe, that will hopefully open their heart for a moment And perhaps just that moment will help them to remember in the future that they live in a place that is sacred, that is alive, and requires our attention and nurturing. So, I believe what's happened here in this time, in this 21st century, is that we have become so busy that it's not like any other time in human history. It's beyond, our minds have gone beyond the capacity that I think they might have been actually designed for. And and humans are so absorbed with electronic media, and not that I demonize electronic media, but we've gone over the cliff with it. And so people are so tuned in to their iPhone, their iPod, their iPad, their computers, the music in their ears and what have you, that they're listening to great music, but they're not listening to the music of the earth, or they're not looking at the beauty of the earth. They're looking at the beauty of the earth through their iPhone screen, rather than just putting that down and looking at it with their actual eyes in reality. And so if we can help just one person, each one of us who understands, who really gets it, that the earth is our mother, if each one of us can at some point help one other human being to stop, put your phone down, stop what you're doing, take a moment and look, feel, be in a place of awe, because it's that place of awe that we all understood when we were children. Seeing ants building an anthill, or watching the clouds and the beauty that emerges from the clouds and the way they create images for us. We had, for most of us, had that experience of awe at some point in our childhood. That's what we need to crack open again in the heart of every human, so that they understand more clearly how to care for this magnificent mother who we're all living on and with.
So what I hear you saying is that we're approaching a tipping point of crisis, and either we can all become more aware about the earth through crisis, or we might be able to avert it by becoming aware of it through consciousness, and creating here in the United States more of a literally groundswell, ground movement, grassroots movement, birth ourselves and begin appreciating, like in Brazil, Pachamama, and feel the heartbeat and feel her nurturance one at a time. And that could avoid needing to wake us up through a critical environmental issue.
I agree. Yes, absolutely. And I want to talk more in next week's podcast about, how we demonize what happens here on the earth, rather than embracing it and opening our eyes to the awe of it, and recognizing that, storms and other events here on earth are an act of beauty in many ways, and yet, we have a tendency to look at what happens with weather on the earth as a problem rather than a lesson or something to embrace.
Do you have any other comments you'd like to add on the topic of who is your mother at this time?
No, not right now. I look forward to next week and expanding a little more on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Dory Cote on shamanism. We'd love to hear your thoughts, stories, reactions, and questions. Come on over to dorycote.com and join the conversation. And tune in next week for more on this subject, or next month for a new subject. You can subscribe to this podcast in iTunes, or sign up on dorycote.com to receive notices when the podcasts are posted. That's Dory, D-O-R-Y, and Cote, C-O-T-E.com. Drumming and Rattling by Dory Cote and Terry Morgan. Technical assistance and audio production by JillHackett.com. And this is Susan Savelle, wishing you many blessings in your life. We hope to have you join us next time.